Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a pretty fascinating journey. We're going to trace a path from the macro level, the World Health Organization's global dietary guidelines, all the way down to some highly specific CDC clinical vaccine recommendations. And to get there, we're actually using a rather unexpected, humble guide, the egg. It's honestly an incredible lens to see exactly how nutritional science and clinical protocols evolve side by side.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the core principles of a healthy plate, break down those macros, look at how eggs actually fit into heart health, and finally, we'll tackle a major medical myth surrounding eggs and the seasonal flu vaccine. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The core dietary principles. Let's look at what the World Health Organization actually says about the very foundation of our daily food intake.
According to the WHO, building a healthy diet across your lifespan isn't about extreme restrictions or complex fads, right? It rests firmly on four core principles. First up is adequacy, just ensuring your diet meets your specific micro and macronutrient needs, so you avoid deficiencies. Second is balance, meaning the energy you take in matches the energy you burn. Third is moderation, which means deliberately limiting foods that can drag down your health. And fourth is diversity, intentionally including a wide, colorful variety of nutritious foods. Build your diet on these four pillars, and you're actively protecting yourself against malnutrition and chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease.
Moving on to Section 2, macros, micros, and moderation. How do those broad principles translate into the actual nutrients we put on our plates? First up, carbohydrates. The WHO recommends that carbs should actually represent the largest chunk of your daily energy, anywhere from 45 to 75%. But, the source is what really matters here. We aren't talking about refined sugars. Ideally, this vast chunk of energy comes from whole grains like oats and brown rice, along with plenty of veggies, fruits, and pulses like lentils. This way, you're also hitting at least 25 grams of naturally occurring dietary fiber every day, which is absolutely vital for your digestive and systemic health.
Next, we've got fats. Despite all those historical dietary fears, fat is an essential nutrient. Your body literally needs it for proper cellular function. The WHO advises that fats should make up 15 to 30% of total daily calories for most adults. The real key here? Quality. We want to heavily focus on unsaturated fats, think avocados, nuts, fish, olive oil, while steering clear of heavily processed or saturated alternatives.
And finally, proteins. People often think we need these massive amounts of protein, but while they are crucial building blocks for hormones, enzymes, and muscle, they actually only require about 10 to 15% of your daily energy intake if you're the average adult. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 50 to 75 grams for someone eating around 2,000 calories a day.
But remember that third WHO pillar we talked about? Moderation. This is where we really have to be vigilant, because modern diets are packed with processed foods that quietly sabotage those balanced macros. The WHO strictly advises limiting free sugars to under 10% of our total energy, ideally under 5% if you want those extra health benefits. Salt? Keep it below 5 grams daily to protect your blood pressure. Saturated fat should be capped under 10%, and those industrially produced trans fats, the ones hiding in baked and fried goods, need to be strictly limited to under 1%. Actually, scratch that. The WHO strongly suggests trans fats simply have absolutely no place in a healthy diet whatsoever.
Section 3. Eggs and heart health. Let's see how these broad WHO guidelines apply to a specific, everyday whole food to hit that protein goal.
For decades, eggs were completely demonized, right? Wrongfully accused of spiking cholesterol and ruining our hearts. But modern nutritional science has course-corrected. Countering that old misconception, Harvard Health plainly states that egg consumption can absolutely be a part of a heart-healthy diet. When you look at the WHO's framework, an egg is just an incredibly efficient whole food. It gives you high-quality protein without blowing past your saturated fat limits, assuming, of course, you aren't frying it in a pan of lard alongside a massive pile of highly processed bacon. It is a perfect example of dietary adequacy and balance, all in a single shell.
Which brings us to Section 4. The egg allergy problem. Because while eggs are a fantastic global protein source, they present a highly specific clinical hurdle early in life. According to CDC data, an egg allergy affects roughly 1 to 3% of all children by age 3. Now, the good news is a significant portion of these kids will naturally develop a tolerance as they get older. Nearly 70% outgrow it by age 16. But during those vulnerable early childhood years, this allergy can be incredibly severe. And it frequently coexists with conditions like asthma, which unfortunately increases the risk of severe complications from respiratory illnesses.
And this leads to a massive practical medical dilemma. because most of the flu vaccines currently available are actually produced by propagating influenza viruses inside chicken eggs. They inevitably contain tiny, trace quantities of egg proteins, specifically a protein called oval albumin. So for parents of kids with an egg allergy or adults who never outgrew it, this is a major barrier and a huge source of anxiety. The logical question you'd ask is, can you safely get a flu shot?
Finally, Section 5. Flu vaccines are safe. Let's see if the life-saving benefits of routine flu vaccination favor giving the shot to these specific individuals. The CDC's ACIP framework gives us a resounding, data-driven answer.
To really grasp the magnitude of this, we have to look at how much the protocol has shifted. Back in the day, people with severe egg allergies, meaning they had symptoms way beyond just hives, like respiratory distress, were told they needed special medical supervision to get a flu shot. They had to go to a specific clinic with a specialized provider ready to handle anaphylaxis. But the current ACIP reality? It completely changes the game. The new framework clearly dictates that routine vaccination is perfectly safe without any of those extra hurdles, regardless of how severe their previous allergic reaction to eggs was.
Now you might be wondering, how on earth could the CDC make such a bold shift? Well, it comes down to overwhelming evidence. This massive policy change is backed by a stringent CDC review of 28 reports covering 31 different studies. And the results? They are incredibly clear. Across all these studies, there were 0 reported deaths, 0 occurrences of anaphylaxis, and 0 hospitalizations from flu vaccines in egg-allergic individuals. Even minor reactions needing outpatient medical attention were astonishingly low, maxing out at just 1.5% across all vaccine types. The data unequivocally proves that those trace amounts of egg protein simply do not trigger severe, life-threatening reactions.
So the clinical implementation is wonderfully simple now. Step 1. Treat egg allergic patients normally. No special screening needed. Step 2. Be prepared. Clinics already have the gear to manage general allergic reactions for any vaccine. And step 3. Just administer it. You can give any age and health-appropriate flu vaccine. No expensive or hard-to-find alternatives required.
What you really should take away from this entire explainer is this beautifully clear, empowering final ACIP recommendation. Everyone, ages 6 months and older, with an egg allergy can and should receive their flu shot normally. No added safety measures, no special trips to the hospital just for a vaccine. By knocking down this barrier, we're increasing health equity and protecting some of our most vulnerable kids, especially those with asthma and egg allergies, from the very real, severe threat of the seasonal flu.
We've journeyed all the way from building a perfectly balanced, WHO-approved plate featuring whole foods like eggs to busting long-standing CDC vaccine myths using rigorous, undeniable safety data. Science is just constantly refining how we protect our bodies, right? Both through what we eat and the preventative medicine we use. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, knowing how dietary guidelines and vaccine safety protocols align for our health, how will this newfound clarity empower your family's preventative health decisions this year?